Faceless Stories, the debt that bleeds. Before we start, answer me honestly. Have you ever owed someone so much that you stopped feeling like a person and started feeling like a number, a balance, a line item, something to be collected? Hold on to that feeling, because tonight's story is about what happens when the debt gets collected back. This is Faceless Storyteller, and this is Faceless Stories, the series where listeners send us the things they can't explain, and we tell them back exactly as they were told to us. Tonight, a woman named Wren, a warehouse that isn't on any lease, and a circle of 12 strangers who don't so much forgive debts as rearrange who's bleeding for them. Wren found the flyer taped inside a laundromat dryer of all places. Damp, half-dissolved, barely legible. Just one line, handwritten. "Owe someone more than you can ever pay back. We settle differently. Blood Moon, Warehouse 6, Riverside Yards. Come alone." She almost threw it away. Almost. But she'd just gotten another call from her staffing agency that morning. The same one that had sponsored her visa 2 years ago and never quite let her stop paying them back for the privilege. Fees for housing, fees for scheduling, fees for existing under their name. Every month she owed more than she had the month before, no matter how many shifts she worked. She wasn't sure debt could be alive, but hers felt like it was growing teeth. So, on the night of the lunar eclipse, the real blood moon, the astronomy kind, the kind the news was actually talking about, she went. Warehouse 6 didn't officially exist. Riverside Yards had torn most of its buildings down years ago. But this one stood, dark and patient, its loading door cracked open just wide enough for one person to slip through sideways. Inside, 11 people stood in a loose circle, hoods up, faces unreadable in the red light, bleeding through a skylight full of eclipsed moon. Each of them held a small folding blade, ordinary looking, except for a single stone set into the handle. Garnet, onyx, citrine, moonstone, each one different. None of them introduced themselves. "You came," said the one closest to her. Their voice was flat, almost bored. Most people talk themselves out of it before they reach the door. "I don't have anywhere else to go," Wren said. That's usually how it starts. The figure tilted their hooded head. "Do you know what we do here?" "The Flyer said you settle debts differently. We do, not by forgiving them, by moving them. A pause. Do you know why a debt like yours never actually shrinks no matter what you pay? Because they don't want it to. Correct. It isn't math. It's a leash. And a leash can't be paid off. It can only be cut or handed to someone else's throat. Wren's mouth went dry. What do I have to do? Bleed a little, listen a lot, and decide at the end of tonight whether you actually want out. Because after this, there isn't a version of out that looks like your old life. One by one, they stepped forward, not with knives to her skin, with words. Each one asked her a single, plain question, and made her answer it out loud, in that cold warehouse air, with the eclipse bleeding red through the skylight above them. Who owns your debt? The agency. Kestrel Staffing Solutions. Who signed you into it? I did. 19 years old. Didn't understand what I was signing. Who profits from you never understanding? They do. Every month. What have they taken from you that money can't measure? Wren's voice cracked on that one. Sleep. My sister's wedding, because they wouldn't approve the days off. 2 years I can't get back. What would you do if the leash were cut tonight? I don't know. Something they'd feel. The last one, the one with the moonstone blade, finally spoke. That's honest, at least. Most people lie on that last one. You're going to help me? Wren asked. We're going to hand you the blade. What you do with it after that is yours. The moonstone marked one pressed the small folding knife into her palm, closed her fingers around it, and drew it back slowly enough that the blade's edge opened a thin line across her palm. Without her fully feeling it happen, blood welled up, dark in the red light. This is the only cut, they said. Everything after this, you carry yourself. Go to them. Not with violence. You're not strong enough to win that fight, and neither are we. Go with truth. Say aloud to their faces exactly what they've taken from you and exactly what you know about how they've done it to others. Every word of it, all of it. Don't stop until you've said everything true you've never been allowed to say. That's it. That's the whole ritual. You'll see. Blood doesn't lie the way voices do. Once it's been spilled honestly, in a place like this, under a sky like that. They nodded toward the red moon. The truth you speak afterward doesn't behave the way it used to. Wren didn't fully understand, until 3 days later, standing in her supervisor's office at 6 in the morning, her palm still faintly scarred, saying out loud everything she had rehearsed only in her head for 2 years. The withheld wages, the threats, the other workers too frightened to speak, the falsified hours. Every sentence came out steady, unshakable, impossible to interrupt, impossible to talk over, like the words themselves had weight now, physical enough to hold the room still. Her supervisor didn't yell, didn't threaten her the way he always had before. He just sat there, pale, and eventually picked up the phone and, in a voice she'd never heard him use, called his own superior to confess. Within a month, an investigation opened. Within 3, Kestrel Staffing Solutions lost its licensing in 2 states. Wren never touched a hair on anyone's head. She just spoke once, with a voice that finally couldn't be silenced. She went back to Warehouse 6 on the next new moon, palm healed to a thin white scar, shaped almost like a fishhook, to say thank you. There was no warehouse there anymore, no loading dock, no building at all, just an empty lot, weeds, and a chain-link fence that looked like it hadn't been disturbed in a decade. She stood there a long time, wondering if she'd imagined the whole thing. Then her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize, with no name attached. Depths move. That's all we do. Yours is settled. Watch for someone else's now. You'll feel it before you see it, same way we felt yours. She didn't reply. She didn't have to, because 2 weeks later, waiting behind the register at her new job, a coworker made an offhand joke about her landlord, about money he was owed and would never see again, about a man who'd learned exactly how far he could push people who had nowhere else to go, and Wren felt it. A pull, faint but unmistakable, low in her scarred palm, like a hook set gently into flesh, waiting to be followed. She hasn't told anyone that part yet, but she's kept the number. If you've ever felt a debt that wasn't really about money, the kind that takes something from you no ledger could ever list, I want you to sit with that feeling for a second after this episode ends. Because somewhere out there under the next red moon, 11 strangers in hoods are deciding whether to hand someone a blade. And if you've ever wondered whether you'd take it, you already know the answer. You're still listening. If something like this has ever happened, To you, a debt you couldn't explain, a voice that suddenly couldn't be silenced. Subscribe to Faceless Storyteller and turn on notifications, because Faceless Stories runs a new story every week. Tell me about it in the comments. I read everyone, even the ones I wish I hadn't. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, watch your ledger.